Cooking Issues. This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, Newsstand Studios, New York City. Joined as usual with John behind me. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah, peachy.
For real?
Yeah.
Not lying to me?
No, not lying. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually a good day. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Got Joe rocking the panels. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well. Great to see everyone. Everyone's in a great mood today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. In Vancouver Island, in the way upper left-hand corner, we have Quinn. How you doing, Quinn?
My mood is just okay.
Why is your mood just okay? Aren't you feeling better? Are you just trying to be ornery?
Yeah,
Are you just an ornery?
appointment day. You know.
Everyone loves an appointment day. And then in Los Angeles, we have, is Nastasia with you today, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Nastasia the Hammer Lopez and Jack Molecules. How you doing?
I'm good. Freshly back from Japan, finally. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's literally freshly back. Yeah, anyway. And I'm super delighted to have, again, we're going to the new style where we all shoot the breeze together as a group. Delighted to have J.J. Johnson, who's here to talk about his brand new book, The Simple Art of Rice. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Yeah, well, it's a super pleasure to have you. You haven't been on the show before, right?
Now it's my first time. It's a shame. I have a restaurant here in Rockefeller Center.
In Rock Center?
Yeah, right downstairs. Field trips there.
I didn't know you had a branch here.
Yes, I do.
So your restaurant field trip up in Harlem. I didn't know you had a branch here. What's it like? Have you had the same? Was that where you were having the problem with the rationale?
No, that was at a different location.
Yeah. You know, I have never.
And it wasn't rationale. Let's not give them.
Okay.
Let's not give them.
Okay.
Heat in the streets.
Yeah, or not heat, as the case may be. So before we get on, we came on. You know, it was the standard, people who cook commiserating over crappy equipment. Not crappy equipment, but crappy service to equipment. So it wasn't rationale. It was a different combi oven. You want to tell them what happened?
Yeah, we opened our location right in front of Columbia University, 114th and Broadway. Was running for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden the combi oven started saying gas pressure issues. Going back to the company, had them come. They blamed the plumber. The plumber then blamed them. Then they said, call Con Ed, tell them to turn the gas pressure up. You can't just call Con Ed and tell them. No, it's not. Con Ed to shut the gas down. And then they come to find out the machine had its own regulator that's supposed to regulate the gas pressure, but they told us to told the plumber to put a regulator on the other side of the combi.
Right.
And that regulator blew out the other regulator. So
because it was choking it.
Correct. So they had to replace their own $25,000 combi oven, which they didn't want to do.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't use professional equipment, the way so a home oven, you just attach that to gas and you're good to go. But 99% of all commercial stoves, right? Ovens and stoves. You put a separate regulator. It looks kind of like a flying saucer.
Yep.
And you can see it. You know what I mean? Because it's the big, and we use big old pipes. We're not using that little pipe that you have at home. We got a big old pipe of gas coming out because they want to maintain a very even, accurate pressure up to the oven. So it's a big pipe coming in, and then they regulate it right before it goes into your equipment. And you actually have a separate regulator for each piece of equipment, and each piece of equipment sometimes has a slightly different regulation. But apparently, the person who sold you their own piece of equipment didn't know that whoever made not rationale, but whoever made your combi oven already put a regulator in it. And you can't double regulate because you drop a certain PSI each time you go.
Every time. But this is the crazy part. So they come to take out the combi, put a new one in, and they go, hey, guys, what do you want us to do with this combi we're taking out? We're like, I don't know. It's like, but it's yours.
Oh.
So I'm like,
I
hold
can fix
on.
it for you.
Should we keep this big old piece of combi oven?
Yeah.
So they had the combi oven for us, and I had to figure out what to do with it. Yeah. You gonna fix it?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, great. I'm gonna call you after this.
Yeah. Well, if the electronics aren't toast, right? So if it's just a regulator, you could replace that. The problem with a lot of, let's just assume it's European. I don't know. Let's just assume it's European. So
German.
Okay. It's German, but it's not rationale. So we're digging down into it. So some of the problem, for instance, with Paco jets, right? So we'll just pick on the Swiss for a minute. When you open up one of those Paco jets, none of the parts inside are standard.
Correct.
Yeah. So then you have to do a little bit of hunting. I have a German fridge, and it's a pain. But once you find the actual part numbers and you can get them, then you can just swap that thing out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to build. I want to build more restaurants. But I don't want to be in control of construction anymore.
Yeah.
I've been beat up way too much.
But that's a big piece of
Equipment,
yeah.
I could, maybe. Yeah. We'll talk.
Or if you don't want to make, I'm sure there's someone listening here who'll be like, you know what, I'm that knucklehead who has more time than good sense, and I'm gonna fix that, and
Right.
Make some sort of deal with you or something. You know what I mean? All right. So we started right into that when we didn't get a chance to shoot the breeze. I'm like, have any of you had anything over the past week in food and or beverage that was interesting or you want to talk about?
So, Dave, in Japan, I ended up having whale sashimi.
Yes.
Whale bacon is what they called it, and then horse sashimi.
Okay.
Was it the same place?
Was it smoked?
The bacon?
The whale meat, was it smoked or no? Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Then it's not bacon, right? I mean, that's all there is.
I mean, this. I'm going off of like a really loose Google translation.
All right.
So I don't know if they're actually calling it bacon. That might just have been the closest English word to what they were trying to say.
All right, so that part of the weirdness, I'm dialing back down. Now let's talk about the fact that it was like whale meat. Yeah. So how was that? How was your whale? Was it as unpleasant as I'm led to believe, or what?
No, I thought it was pretty good, actually.
How thin was it?
It wasn't thin at all. It was just kind of like chunks.
Sounds like a bad place.
Yeah. You ever had anyone else here ever had the whale? I never had the whale.
No.
All right. What about horse? I hear horse is delicious.
Horse is good.
Well, I actually had it two ways. There was a smoked horse that was actually really good, and the horse sashimi was like a little too much.
Too much? In which way? Like too fatty? Like, are you a huge tartar guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you a tartar guy in general, or no?
Yeah.
All right. So
I am. I like raw things. It was just too fatty.
Yeah. How thin was the horse?
Not thin enough.
That's the thing. When I have a raw piece of meat like that, I don't want to I'm not like a cave person. I don't want like stringy stuff coming out of my teeth, I want it to be thin.
Yeah, that was the issue. Exactly.
What about you, JJ? You a tartar style of person or no?
I love tartar.
Yeah?
I love crudo, sashimi.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm eating horse.
I would definitely eat horse. I hear in Beijing, donkey is like big.
I can see that.
I like donkey, that live animal, but I also kind of want to eat donkey.
It's got to be tough.
I don't know. I hear it's delicious. Best meat I ever had that I've only had once or twice was yak. I've said that on here many times. Yak delicious. So whale, don't do it again. I'm assuming you're saying, or you would have the whale again, but you wouldn't have the one kind of horse.
It's weird to do generally, right? But like in Japan, it is accepted. And
was it one restaurant that did both?
Yeah, it was one restaurant. No,
Yeah.
I wasn't going on a whale flight around.
Yeah,
town.
yeah. Did they wear a hat that said "crap on the world"? When you Google translated it?
It was like the kind of place. It was like the kind of place that like old men were smoking cigarettes at, and they were like watching Japanese sports and shit. So it was like a when in Rome kind of thing.
I am kind of curious how over 100 years after the horse has been economically as important as it once was, right? And for, obviously, generations and generations and generations, the horse was an important animal for us, not just culturally, but like literally. You know what I mean? So like I would never order dog because like I know it's illogical considering that I eat other animals that are as smart as dog and are friendly as dogs, but I just wouldn't enjoy eating a dog. Let me put it that way. But horse, I just don't have that many feelings about. I don't know. You wouldn't eat horse, JJ?
I don't know. There's just some things out there like before I eat, like would I eat it or would I cook it?
Those are two different questions, right? Would you eat it? Would you cook it? Would you order it? Those are the three. Those are the three questions. Would I cook it? Would I order it? And if someone handed it to me, would I eat it?
Yeah. I mean, like I'm in Japan. Like I don't know if I'm eating horse and whale in Japan.
But what if, so this is the predicament I found myself in when I was traveling in Vietnam. What if you get invited into someone's home and they serve you that kind
That's a whole different ball of wax.
Like you just, oof.
That's how I ate dog. I mean, unknowingly, so
I think,
three different ways.
Unknowingly?
Yeah, they didn't tell me.
Like, what's the line though? Like, I don't think like if someone was like, "This is a monkey," I'd be like, "Oh no." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But that's sort of what this was, because like I said, it was like, it's like old place where old men were, and there was no English menus, and they're just kind of randomly pointing at things, and I'm like, oh, susume, which is basically, I'll have what you would, and then that's kind of like the array that comes out.
It's a good order, by the way. In general, that's the order.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can all agree that that's what you want. Like, you know, I want whatever you're having, that's what I want. You know what I mean? But, yeah. All right. I hear that the most interesting thing that happened to Nastasia Lopez is she's basically shadow dating Pauly Shore right now. She keeps running into him at the coffee shop and whatever. It's like it's like Nastasia Lopez takes us to the saddest show, the saddest quote unquote comedy show that's ever been done.
I can't believe you're talking about this.
And then like, you know, every time it's like, oh, you know, the coffee shop happens to be like an hour and a half away from where she lives, I'm sure, right? It just happens to run into Pauly Shore there all the time.
Not true.
You know what I mean?
No, it was two different coffee shops. So it's weird.
Okay.
Same town, same town.
Same Los Angeles.
Yeah, but like it's a big place. I think the same neighborhood or what?
Like West Hollywood, Sunset.
Yeah. All right.
Where I live.
You know how many times I've run into Pauly Shore? Zero. I mean, I almost ran into him when we saw him when we were the three people at that show, that super depressing show that you took us to. Oh my God. When your crew doubles the audience, it's an issue. You know what I mean? Not of the cooking variety. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not anti-Pauly Shore. I'm not anti-Pauly Shore.
Sounds like you are.
I'm not anti-Pauly Shore. He actually just misses, like when he was most popular was when I wasn't really consuming that kind of culture. Does that make sense? Know what I'm saying? Yeah, know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about any food? What were you ordering? Okay. Do you go to a coffee shop because it's got the worst coffee available in the neighborhood? Because I know you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
yes.
So this is something you must share with Pauly Shore. You're like, who cares the least about the quality of this coffee? I'm going to go there and get a stale Danish. Am I close?
No, I just got a coffee. Just got a coffee and then I sit and work.
Oh, wait, whoa. So you do your coffee and your breakfast pastry in different places? You don't like to double that up?
No, I do oatmeal at home.
Oatmeal.
I do coffee out so that I can sit and work for like a couple hours.
You ever instead of oatmeal tried overnight like a rice, more of a rice based instead of oatmeal?
No.
Maybe JJ can change your mind on this.
Wait. Did I tell you what I said to him though?
No.
Oh.
But I'm curious.
I said, hey, you used to have a nice smile.
Oh. Damn. Wow.
And everyone thinks that that's mean, and it was meant in the nicest way.
What is the nice way? What's the nice way?
You used to have a nice smile.
Yeah, but okay,
He had a nice smile.
But someone help me out here.
How did he respond back, though?
Don't ask me.
How did he respond back? Did he smile?
He said, "Oh, thank you," and then yeah.
Somehow,
because he was dissociating.
Somehow I'm depressed even more about it. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like somehow I feel even worse. I don't know. I didn't know that was possible, but thanks. Speaking of next week, we have Han from Cato, where she's doing some fabulous non-alc work there. She won bartender, best bartender in the universe 2023 or something like this. How does it work?
One of the best new bartenders for Punch Mag.
Right. Punch. I heard a funny story. So yesterday I was doing. Robert Simonson came out with his 33rd book this year,
something like that.
He comes out with literally the way that some people cook dinner, man writes books. Anyway, so I was in this book. And on Encyclopedia Cocktails, and so because I was in the book, he wrangled me to do cocktails at Porchlight yesterday. I did for any of you that went to my old bar, Booker and Dax. I did a drink that was on the opening menu called First Date, which was with Elijah Craig, which I think is still a good value in bourbon. And yeah.
Your bar was solid.
Oh, thanks. So, anyways, so I did that. And then I also did an event for Campari same day. So I can't really, Heaven Hill and Campari, you don't really mention them in the same. You know what I'm saying?
You just did though.
I did though. Yeah. It's the end of Old Fashioned Week, so that's why, anyway, whatever. So, I was talking about it, and they were saying, this is going back to Punch, that this guy used to try to break into. So when you sign up for an event, let's say you're going to pretend to be a bartender and you're going to sign up for a bartender outreach program. They're usually limited, right? Because that's how they work. So it's and same with chefs when they have chef things, right? These sign up. I used to do Gohan. Did you ever do any of those old Gohan Society things back in the day?
I know you're talking about no. But I never did those.
They were sick. If you could get into that, I got into it because I was working at the French Culinary. So they would invite me, but then they get these awesome Japanese chefs do amazing demos with everything, with fish, and so I used to go. But people would try to weasel their way into it. So this one guy who was trying to weasel his way into one of these events, I don't know, I didn't know this was a thing, but the person who was vetting was looking up their social accounts to see whether or not they were legit or not. And this guy was only posting rando stuff and then racist stuff, right? So they were the guy was where do you work? He's I write for Punch. He's what have you written? He's well, I submit articles to Punch. So Punch, I was he's no way he writes for Punch because Punch is a legitimate thing. I like Punch.
Yeah.
Legitimate folk.
Yeah.
I don't always agree with them, but legitimate folk. What about you, John? Anything in the world of food?
I think I'm going to be switching up the food menu at Temperance to have it be more Belgian, which I'm kind of excited about.
Oh.
So, yeah, thank you. It's going to be exciting.
Going back to your roots.
Exactly.
Okay, you know what? You spent all this time being freaking love the Belgian. You love Belgian stuff.
I do.
Why not be more Belgian?
Exactly. So
you want to buy my waffle iron? It can be upgraded to 220. It can be upgraded to 220. So if Ray Waffles, I told you this, Ray Waffles was extremely sick with the COVID. I have not reached out to him since the pandemic, but if Ray Waffles is still alive, you can convert my waffle iron to 220. He said he could do it for $300.
Oh.
Ray Waffles.
You're trying to get rid of your waffle iron?
I have a 90. Okay, so my kid Booker, who still lives with me, doesn't eat waffles. My other son, who's waffles, is he's already in college. I have a 90-pound, I have God's waffle iron, 90 pounds of it sitting on my counter, eating up space. I don't have a lot of room, and I don't make enough waffles to justify owning that waffle iron.
Well, would you replace it with a beautiful rice cooker?
I already have a beautiful rice cooker. My rice cooker, though, is 20-something years old. Every once in a while, it dies. And so, I unplug it and I put it in, a place of honor, and I wait for, a week to see whether or not it'll come back to life. And the 2 times that I have done it, it has come back to life. I have, I have a 20-something-year-old Zojirushi, one of the first, neuro-fuzzy induction ones. And the pot is, the fake Teflon coating is all coming off, and so everyone's you need to replace that pot. I'm nope. It's $150 just to replace the pot, and they haven't made my model in a million years, and so I'm you know what? I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. You know what I'm saying? I love that thing, and I like that you like rice cookers too. Yeah. Now, I got 10 times. You're cooking rice 10 times. How many of those times is a rice cooker in your real life at home?
I'm cooking rice 10 times.
You're 10 times. How many of those 10 times are you in a pot on the stove, and how many of those times are you in a rice cooker?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm probably 8 times on the stove, 2 times in the rice cooker.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you ever cook it in the stove and then use the keep warm in the rice cooker just so that it stays?
Yes.
Keep warm on the rice cooker is a genius thing.
I use a lot of things in the keep warm in the rice cooker because I have young kids, so it's pop it there. It's my holding.
Yeah.
Area. Rice cookers, I love it because it's super versatile. You can do a lot in there.
Are you what brand are you? You also Zojirushi or no?
I do have Zojirushi.
Yeah, they're good.
They're great. Yeah. But I played around with a lot of rice cookers lately. I played around with very cheap $34 rice cookers. I played around with the Korean brand. I can't think of the name right now. Played around with them. Great rice cooker. But yeah, I've had this one for 4 years. It's been great.
Yeah. If I was going to get another one, I don't even know whether it's worthwhile, but I kind of want the one that has the light pressure setting. I don't even know what I want it for.
We didn't need
I don't even know what
for.
I want it for. I have no idea, JJ. I just kind of there's oh, you can do that? And I was I want it. You know what I mean? I'm figuring out something I can use it for. I don't know. So when I first started with the company who makes makes centrifuges, so the company that makes these centrifuges, the factory that makes it, they also make some extremely high end rice cookers. Like these rice cookers are like, they're not like a couple $100s, like they're like $700-800 rice cookers, but they're not available in the U.S. And they have like incredible pots, like pots that like you would bring to the table, like just nuts. And I was like, I don't know if it's gonna make the rice any better, and I'm definitely don't have 220, so I'm not. You know what I mean?
Dave, he can convert it to 220 for you.
Yeah. Well. So like, I almost considered. So get this. So, ask you a question about the book. So when you're doing arancini, which you say you do a lot for your family. I forget who in your family really likes the arancini. Is it your wife that likes the arancini?
My wife loves arancini.
Yeah. Because you know why? They taste good. That's the thing. Yeah, right. And so you do a mix of mushrooms and goat cheese in with the rice, and then a fontina cube in the middle, some breadcrumbs in the rice, roll it in breadcrumbs. Am I good so far?
You're great. You're great.
So then, but you do it's not like it's shallow fry, but it's not a deep fry either. It's kind of like a halfway up the ball fry.
Yeah, and a cast iron.
Right. So is the advantage of that for you just that you just don't have to use as much oil, or even if you had a deep fryer, would you do it that way?
I think when you're at home, frying makes people nervous.
Right.
So my wife is like, okay, the whole house is going to smell like oil. I love this. How can you make it happen? So the shallow or the semi-shallow fry works. If I had a deep fryer, electric deep fryer on the countertop, I would use it for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And just drop those bad boys in and it'd be really quickly. But I do like the way it comes out, rotating them and staying with them on the stovetop. And then you don't have too much oil to throw away, or you can use it again for something else.
But do you think that the end result is roughly similar when you do it that way versus, like, let's say you're at work and you're going to drop it into a deep fryer? Do you have deep fryers at work?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know why? They're awesome.
I would say the great thing about the deep fryer is they're going to fry evenly around together at the same time. This, when you're doing the semi-shallow fry, you have to. I do the counting method, or I put a clock on to make sure I'm frying it evenly on both sides.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the disadvantage.
You know what whenever I'm even deep frying, like stuff that floats, that's round, I hate it when, okay, let's say you're doing something like this, right? And you put it in and the bottom sets, but because it's moist, the top part that's out of the oil slightly inflates.
Yes.
And now I can't flip it over anymore because as soon as you flip it over, it flips right back up the other side again.
So then you got to start using a spoon to hit it on top of it.
Is there a way other than just using something to weight it down, which is what I do when I deep fry? I always have like fish racks and I drop them on top of my stuff to keep them under. Is there, like, if I spin it before it sets, can I stop that from happening? Is there any way to stop that from happening? Shallow is a good way because it's actually resting on the bottom. It's going to stay where it's put.
Yeah, I was going to say probably you need less oil.
Yeah.
So then when you flip it, it can't flip back over. It's just going to stay right down there and deflate and fry.
Yeah. And so maybe this is actually a point where the shallow fry is actually helping you because you can rotate it unless you have a deep fryer with the grate on top, like, which is what I 100% of the time do when I'm deep frying. Do you have 220 in your house?
Yeah, I got 220.
Okay. If you have 220 in your house,
Dave gave a shoulder shrug, 220 shoulder shrug.
no, if you're gonna do it, I don't have 220 because I live in an apartment building that's wired from the 50s, and I don't have 220, and I can't have it thousands. I asked thousands and thousands of dollars. I have to pay off everyone between me and the main breaker panel to run wires through their house to get to my thing, and plus I have to pay a real electrician to do it because I can't do it myself. Thousands. I can't do it.
I didn't say that it was done properly in my New York City apartment.
It's fine, man. It's fine. I'm just, whatever. I'm jealous. Whenever I say things, it's because I'm jealous. But the point is that you then, if you have 220, I highly recommend you buy the Belgian fryer. Going back to John's thing, because they have a 3 kilowatt home fryer that's less than $150 on Amazon whatever it is. BE.
Really?
Yeah. And all you gotta do is chop it off and put it on a US 220 plug it in, and it's the same size as our crappy 1700 watt things that choke. Because I've been testing it before I was working again on my cocktail book, I was working on a cooking book, so I was doing a lot of frying because my culinary life growing up, I fry. I'm a frying guy.
Gotcha.
I had a deep fryer in my house for 20 years, like a commercial 40-pounder in my house. I had to get rid of it because the hood didn't work as well in my new apartment. So I took it. For a while I had a place outside.
Hold on. Dave, he said he was going to bring. He tried to bring the 40-gallon fryer to his New York City apartment. What kind of apartment do you live in?
Well, I had it in my apartment. But then I moved apartments, and my extraction wasn't as good. But basically, all I cared about is frying.
I got to come see this.
Here's what I did. I don't have it anymore. So I bought my fryer. I bought my fryer in an auction.
Okay.
Right? In like 2000, it was before 9/11. All right. So I bought it at an auction in a snowstorm, which is a great time to go to a restaurant auction because nobody goes out. The equipment dealers, like that crazy guy, Avi, who always buys the thing that you want, that guy. And, you know what I mean? But in auctions, it's you pay now, you take now. Pay now, take now. Like no choices. So I brought a hand cart with me, and I hand carted it from right by the World Trade Center up to my 38th Street loft. And in a loft, it's easy, right? We were stealing gas. I tried to get hooked up legit, but whatever. This is before the gas was a thing here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so I hooked it up, and then when I moved to my apartment downtown because my kid was too old to live in a loft anymore, the way we were illegally, I built a hood in quotes, air quotes, not safe. I don't recommend anyone listening build their own hood. And I fried for years and years there too.
I've almost built a hood in my kitchen though, like in my apartment, because we live on the wall. It goes to the outside.
Yeah.
So it was like I can run this pipe and then cut it in and slide it.
Wait, you cut a hole?
No, I didn't do this. I was going to have somebody do it for me because it was like I'm tired of smoking out my apartment. And then I was like, I'll probably cut this hole in. Next thing I know, I have like raccoons rolling in. You know, somebody like, who do you call then? You call the super? Like, I got to call back the guy that put it in for me. So this is before I had kids. And
you got to do that. You got to do it. You got to do it. Listen, it's like, no, you just get a little, okay. The reason I don't recommend it on the air is because somebody's going to do something effed up and burn their house down.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't allow that.
Right. So I don't. Like, especially like the older I get, the more I realize like how close I've come to like really getting effed up with some of the stuff that I do. I don't recommend it to other people, but you should totally put a good hood in. Anyway, so get this Belgian fryer because it's 3 kilowatts instead of 1700 because there's 1700 watt fryers. It's like, it's great if you want to make one piece of chicken. Who wants one piece of chicken?
Nobody.
And then you have to sit there and put it in a keep warm forever. Hell with that. Speaking of frying. You know what's something? Every year for the past like 15 years, except for like 1 or 2 years, I have to go to New Orleans for this conference, right? Cocktail conference. I've been there a zillion times. You know what I've never had? Calas.
Ooh.
So talk to me about it. Like, how did I miss it? Where should I get it?
You know, I think it's one of those things that are lost. So Calas is in New Orleans. It's an item that would be eaten for breakfast with your leftover rice and then fried. It's super delicious, cinnamon, nutmeg, all those flavors in it. And I think everybody, when they go to New Orleans or Louisiana, they're like, I got to get a beignet. And they forget about everything else. But I think that's the most beautiful thing with rice is that rice is so layered in history that you start to learn about places around the world that nobody taught you this. And I learned a lot about Calas. Women would have it in their heads and, you know, walking around in the morning time, selling it to people going to work, or if you were coming out of the club or during Jazz Fest. So I was down there for Essence Festival and I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. People tell me you can probably find somebody like really, really early in the morning. But I went to Essence Festival like that was that year, like right after the pandemic. I'm sure you could probably get it now, but you got to get up early, probably like 5 a.m. to catch it.
Yeah, you know, I don't get the beignets because it's a powdered sugar. I like it, but then I always inhale when I'm eating them and I choke. And then it's all over my clothes because I'm messy. Yeah.
Yes.
But the Calas don't have that much. It's not like hyper sugar, right?
No. I mean, if you can put some like hit it with a little powdered sugar, but you don't have to have the powdered sugar on it.
Right. Crispy outside, soft inside.
Yeah. Really good.
All right. So that's when I was like, oh man, I feel so stupid. Speaking of that, but that's a long grain rice though, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So interesting, like
from the Delta.
Yeah. So some of the like recipes that I thought were interesting, like you do so again, the book is Simple Art of Rice, and for those of you that like. Why don't you give the pitch on the book since you wrote it?
The book's called Simple Art of Rice. Came out September 12th, and basically it's a book that will help you cook rice. It will make your rice life easier.
Oh, I like that. Rice
So
recipes, yeah.
it's not, don't think of it as like, oh, I can't make all these chef-driven rice recipes. It's like the book first starts off with like how you cook long grain, how you cook short grain, how you cook medium grain. With what my ratio is to rice, water ratio is to rice. And then as you master that, then you can get into these other rice dishes, but they start off pretty easy, everyday rice, that takes you all the way to celebrations and dessert. And the head notes will take you on a journey, where that rice is from, the origin, who the people are, why it's delicious. And that's what a lot of the stories do, too. We interview people like David Chang, Dr. Jessica Harris, rice researchers, Glenn Roberts from Anson Mills, to tell these other stories. So it's not just me telling you that rice is the greatest ingredient.
Right.
It's these other people also letting you know, like, oh, I am connected to rice. And for me, what the book does, I think it's a thing that can connect us all. Right? Rice is that ingredient that can really connect people because it could teach you about a region, could teach you about people or history by just that one rice dish. If it's eating biryani, or if it's having purloo, or if it's eating gumbo, or realizing that wild rice is rice, these things.
I mean, like, you eat it like rice.
No, it is rice.
I mean, it's not the same genus.
It's the grass.
Yeah, it's grass for sure. Yeah. All right, so a couple of things to get out of the way early before I even start talking about. Well, I'll say this first. Like, what I like about it is, one of the things I like about it is that there are like a bunch of recipes for day-old rice. There's a bunch of recipes for like right. In other words, like anytime you would use rice or have rice, whether it already be cooked or not cooked, it's there. Like when there are beans, sometimes you're going to use a canned bean, sometimes you're going to use a dried bean, and I'm guessing like a lot of times you would let people be a little bit flexible. So
Correct.
it's like it's more about building rice into the way you think about what you're doing and not worrying about having it left over because you know you can use it the next day in X, Y, or Z. Would that be?
That's great. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, they always have leftover rice and they're like, what am I going to do with this rice? I already made my rice dish for the week, but it's like, no, you can make a rice salad. You can put it in your waffles.
Yeah.
You could do so much with it. You could drop it in your soup. And that's what I teach you in the book is like, you want to have leftover rice so that you can do more with the rice. And that's why I say it makes your life easier. Because, I mean, when I cook rice, I'm cooking 2 cups or 4 cups of rice. I always have some left over that I'm doing something with it the next day or 2 days later.
Now, question for you. When you say cup, you mean cup, not a rice cup. Cup.
Cup.
Real, like you at 8-ounce cup.
8-ounce cup.
Yeah, not like the Zojirushi cup.
No.
See, my mind has been poisoned by the Zojirushi Corporation to think that a cup of water is still a cup of water. First of all, my mind only thinks in mLs and grams, right? Unfortunately, I've been Europeified by folks like him and by working at the French Culinary Institute for years. I mean, it is a better system for cooking. But in terms of rice, I still think of liquid in terms of like cups, but I think of rice cups in terms of that, whatever the Japanese measure is.
I never really used it. I kind of was like, okay, whatever this is, I'll put it to the side.
And you actually like the finger trick. It makes me so nervous, I will never do it.
Why?
I don't know.
It works. Try it. Tell me.
Why don't you describe what I'm talking about?
I mean, that's why I don't, when you're like, do you measure rice? I'm like, okay, rice doubles in size. Most people don't realize that. And you need a large enough pot or your rice cooker to make sure that the rice can grow. It's going to grow double that size. So before you put your rice in, if it has enough room to grow double the size of what it is, you're good. And that's why the finger trick works. So you put the 2 cups or the 4 cups in, you put your finger on top of the rice, you bring it to the top of your first knuckle on your third finger, and you put the top on. You let it medium heat, and it'll be good. It'll be ready in about 22 minutes.
It just gives me so much agita, man, because here's the thing. It's like, okay. So like, I'm like, because whenever I think about it, like, okay, you're like, it doesn't matter how big your hands are. I'm like, fine, that's good. I guess it's all like roughly same, whatever. Yeah, anyway. But I'm like, well, if the pan is wider, then, but like, But then, if the pan is wider, you do need more water because more crap's going to evaporate off the top of the pan. So
Correct.
I don't know. I don't know whether all the variables are actually going to always add up. And you're telling me just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
And maybe that makes my life better in the long run. But I'm not about my life
So
being
you
good.
do 2 to 1?
I don't know. I have it all written down somewhere. I've done all these things, and I'm just again, like I'm not. Most of the time, actually, I'm using I'll do open pot for a long time and reduce flavors down. Most of the time I'm cooking with stock.
Okay.
You know, when I'm cooking white rice or brown rice, when I'm using non-flavored rice dishes, I'm usually using whatever the Zoshirushi
It's telling you to do.
is telling me to do. Like
I just try to make it. It is a big debate during the process of the book. People like recipe testers before they even tested the recipes were like, "Oh, nah, you don't have 2 to 1. 2 to 1 what?
Yeah.
Water? No, nobody cooks rice 2 to 1. That is wrong. You're getting mushy rice,
All right.
or the rice is gonna stick together. That's why people don't like the rice when they're eating it because it's like, why is it sticking to my hand? Why can't I throw it against the wall? You want it to be, for me, I believe rice should be like pearls. It should separate. When you're cooking jasmine, long grain, California grain, Carolina gold, Delta rice, Blue Moon, New Jersey rice, whatever it might be. I'm not talking boxed rice here.
What about New Jersey rice? Tell me about that.
Oh, Blue Moon is beautiful.
Never. What?
Dan Barber introduced me to Blue Moon. I didn't even know there was a rice grower in New Jersey. And they're not using the flood method. They're revitalizing crops. And the Northeast used to grow a lot of rice years ago. And then it stopped. So Hudson Valley, Martha's Vineyard, New Jersey used to grow tons of rice. And then that rice crop kind of started that moved into like Arkansas, who produces the most rice in the world. So yeah,
Really?
They produce the most rice in the country.
No.
They even make rice for sake growers.
Really? Mm-hmm. So like they make good rice.
No.
Oh. So you're saying the sake people are using some...
I'm not saying that they are not, but that method in Arkansas is that flood method,
Right.
which a lot of people are asking them, a lot of those rice farmers to stop doing that because it's tied to climate change.
Like, at Anson Mill, they were pioneering that.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Wait, where was... Okay. So another thing that you mentioned in your rice stuff, and this is another thing that makes me incredibly nervous, and it goes back to like years ago when... What was Rich and Jeremy's Koji book called again? Koji Alchemy,
yeah.
Koji Alchemy. So Koji Alchemy came out, and Umansky was on the Jeremy Umansky was on and he's like, yeah, I cook all of my rice in hotel pans in the oven. And I was like, oh. But then you have can you actually make as good a rice in the oven as you can in a pot on the stove?
Yeah, rice pilaf's made in the oven, right?
I don't want. I mean, like just regular though, like regular white, like just make it like rice. I don't know. It just makes me nervous. You like the oven method?
You could. I mean, I think the reason why I included the oven method was like some people cook so much on the stovetop, like thinking about Thanksgiving, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna make rice. You can now go to the oven, and you can wrap it tight. Plastic wrap, aluminum foil, and cooking in the oven. It's something we do at Filter when those combi ovens aren't working.
Right. Well, listen, I guess my reaction was because I'm pretty sure, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he comes from a similar like brigade cooking background that you come from,
right.
From education-wise, culinary education-wise. And if you were taught by, unless it's one of a very few French people, if you were taught that old French way of like a lot of water in like a pan in the oven, it's just gonna be. That's just like, come on, man, right? I mean, like
it's not my go-to method.
Yeah.
But it is a method,
right. But I mean, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like dry on top and wet on the bottom. If you do it wrong. Yeah.
But I'm not telling in this book. I'm not telling you that here in the book to do it wrong. Now
I'm not saying that. All right. So. What am I missing? Oh, yeah. You grew up in the Poconos.
Yes, I grew up in Poconos.
So, like...
Northeast PA.
Although, like, it's so weird. Like, you go from Long Island to the Poconos. Those are two separate groups of people, yeah?
Two separate groups of people, yeah. My grandfather was in World War II, and he said he couldn't afford the taxes anymore. Sold his house really quickly, and that one house became 3 homes in the Poconos. And we lived, so it was my mom, I lived with my parents. Around the corner was my Aunt Lisa and Uncle Donald, and then around the corner was my grandfather and my grandmother. And at her house, at my grandparents' house, my mom would drop us off before she went to work. She was a school teacher. My dad would drive to New York City. I don't know, he's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that house was filled with my 2 great aunts, my grandfather, my grandmother, and they would just cook all day and have a blast.
Yeah. And so, well, you describe it in the book. I won't spoil it too much, but like until you were 7, the family had this like Sunday tradition of dinners with your grandma, and then when she passed, you already kind of, I guess your nickname was Fish.
Yeah, my Uncle Donald gave me Fish. I'm a very good swimmer.
Yeah. You still go by Fish with some people at your family?
Yes, actually, this weekend I was with some of them, and my uncle's brother was like, "Fish, what's up?" I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" But everybody has like these kid nicknames.
Yeah.
You're still a kid to the adults. It doesn't matter how old you get.
I've had epithets stick to me, but I've never had a nickname stick to me. It's weird. Anyway, so for those of you that don't know New York area, right, there are a couple of like well-known nice places that people would go who are from the New York area. So there's like the upstate New York Catskilly people, there's the like outer Long Island kind of people, and then there's like Poconos kind of people, and there are like 3 different directions to go, right? And my mom actually wasn't any of those. Like we used to just only go in the summer. We would go up the Cape. She was more like like coastal kind of, but not Long Island coastal, like more anyway, whatever. So I never went to the Poconos.
You never went to heart-shaped
no
bathtub?
No, and but I grew up watching New York TV, and so if for anyone who like grew up watching New York TV back in the day, we knew everyone knew about the Poconos and beautiful Mount Airy Lodge.
I knew you were going there.
Beautiful Mount Airy Lodge. Yeah, what?
It's epic. That song is.
Have you ever been?
Of course, my high school's right down the street from it.
No way.
Yeah.
What was it like?
The beautiful Mount Airy Lodge.
Yeah.
I was when we went. It was towards the end of like the Mount Airy Lodge days. Like when you were a young kid, you knew about Mount Airy Lodge. It's not a place you would go to. I mean, they say Frank Sinatra sang there. Like it's freaking crazy. But then in high school, when we would be done with high school, we'd go there and play basketball or go ice skating. It was a place that's legendary. Now it's a casino. It's still, they brought it back.
Oh, they did? Same building, same all that?
Same kind of building. I think they added on to it, took some stuff off. But yeah, they brought it back. There's a casino there now. I hear some of the bathrooms have heart-shaped tubs, what it was known for. But yeah, we would go there. We would get kicked out as kids. Like after a while, they figure out that we weren't staying there, and then we would get kicked out.
What's it like growing up in like vacation land? Like, is it pretty? Like, so I've been to like Delaware Water Gap area, but I've never like that's different from like
that's different. Yeah. So you got to go 20 minutes more. Like I lived in the heart. Like I lived in Mount Pocono. Many people will say this area is the Poconos. Scranton, Pennsylvania is not the Poconos. Wilkes-Barre is not the Poconos.
Why is Scranton the Electric City? Hello.
I have no idea. We're sorry for everybody from Scranton. But the Poconos, yes, when I grew up there, that where my parents still live there now, the street is filled with houses of, I don't think people are vacationing there, but yeah, I mean, Billy came up on the weekends from Philadelphia. Tommy was from New York, Staten Island, with his 7 dogs that he would roll with. Tony Cole, like I know and you would 4-wheel, you would play hoops. Some people were gun owners and they would shoot guns. I mean, I remember my first time shooting a gun at a young age, coming home telling my parents I shot a gun, and my dad went and knocked on that person's door, and I never went back there ever again. But it is a different lifestyle. I think I loved living in the Poconos because it kind of rounded me out. Like I was very close to nature. I was very close to climate. Also, you couldn't, like, if you got in trouble, it's because you did something dumb. And you really were close with people because where you would hang out were at people's homes. So yeah, you would hang out at Paul Colavito's home or Matthew Davis. So I talk about in the book going to his house as a kid and eating Korean rice and it being the best rice that I ever had. And his mom like telling my mother like, oh, he could always come over here and eat the rice with us. But But it was great. I think it's changed, though. You know, after 9/11, the Pocono shifted. After the pandemic, it shifted. I think in 5 years, like I go there now, there's so many developers there. There's so many indoor water parks.
Like that Lone Wolfie stuff?
Yeah. Like
whatever that's called.
Yeah, Camelback. Like I used to work there. Like you're going to see a huge change.
You going to open something out there?
I think I would. I probably would. My mom is like on me about opening a field trip out there. I would open up a full service restaurant out there, but the liquor license is so hard to get. Like it's county by county.
Control state and all that.
If you own a liquor license,
you're gold.
You could sell it for like $2 million.
Let me ask you this though: like, is it the kind of situation where you're allowed to like just like pay someone to be your quote unquote partner, and all you're doing is just giving them some like?
Well, that's what a lot of people are trying to do now. They're like, okay, hey, and they're putting it in like these they're building hotels so they can have multiple restaurants, and then that person that owns a liquor license is a partner, and this is going from generation
it's
to
extortion.
generation.
I hate this crap.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
You mentioned field trip. Why don't we talk about the? Oh, by the way, do you like pictures of cute kids at your restaurant, or you hate it?
Pictures of cute kids
at your restaurant. I got one of our listeners.
Why not?
Well, yeah, all right. How about that? This is from Vengroff. Question for JJ. What is your preferred method of rinsing rice? Do you rinse once or twice and call it good? Or do you go on and on until the water is actually crystal clear? It's never crystal clear, though. Come on, let's be honest. It's never crystal clear.
No, it's not crystal clear, but till the water's clear.
Yeah. And how much do you alter or even skip the rinsing process based on how you will be cooking the rice? P.S. My daughter and I love Field Trip. We have been going since you first opened. Whenever we are in or anywhere near Harlem, she insists we stop in. So there's at your place.
I love that. Listen, I do love when I see the kids.
Show the picture.
What? Oh, to where? To what?
That camera right
what
there.
the hell, man? It's not a good printout. Apologize.
Come on.
I do love when the parents come with the kids and the kids are eating Field Trip. It makes me believe that the brand will be around for a long time. Like when I see high school kids eating at Field Trip, I'm like, ooh, you eating at Field Trip? Or tourist kids in Rock Center eating at Field Trip. But yes, we rinse the rice always.
Well, except for in the risottos that you say.
No, no risotto. Sticky rice, I tell you to soak overnight if you can. But like if you're cooking, just call it like not steam rice, but a pot of rice. I recommend you rinse it till the water looks clear.
Yeah, that's another one that gives me. Because, okay, you do it smart in a colander.
Yeah.
So you can lift it out. Mm-hmm. I do it dumb.
And you go like this?
Yes.
I do it like that sometimes too, but
yeah.
When you're in a rush. But I think...
what I'll do is I'll fill up the thing and then I'll swish my hand in and then I'll pour it off. But when you do that, it's never clear. Do you like the pre-rinse stuff? I don't ever use it.
No, there's no such thing as pre-rinse.
You know what I'm talking about? That
I know you're talking about.
I never use it.
I just don't think even if Jar, here, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you eat the pre-rinsed, the pre-5-time wash mixed greens right out the box?
Hell no.
Okay, so that's what I want people to understand. It's like the rice is grown in a farm. Yeah. There's dirt. There's transportation. Like if you don't want to wash it till the water runs clear, it's cool. Just wash it one time then cook your rice.
Does anybody think that it's okay to eat those greens out of the bag?
Oh, a lot of people do.
All right. Okay. So you've just done a public service, JJ, because here's what I want everyone to do, because no matter how long that bag sits in the shelf, it's there. And so I've opened so many bags of those things, and you smell it, and it's got that little bit of swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to pick through it, get rid of the swampy ones, wash that off. Come on, right?
I did it with spinach yesterday. I cracked it open. I washed it out. I was like prep cooking. I was like, I call it I'm a prep cook for my kids. Mm. And I'm picking through the spinach that I'm about to saute because it's swampy. And I literally just got it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So
can't trust it.
No, you can't trust it.
I mean, so we had the crew from that show Risky or Not, that podcast Risky or Not.
No,
it's good. So the premise of the show is that people ask them, not they won't tell you is this safe, because that's not what they do, but
right.
They're they're food scientists, right? And so. But they're like, is this risky? Would you eat this or not? And so, I asked them about the greens. They're like, yeah, it's not risky. But I was like, yeah, but it's not good either.
Hold on. We see this happen every year, though. This is the problem. All of a sudden, there's this salmonella outbreak. Yeah. And they're like, oh, my God, where'd it come from? Where'd it come from?
Always the romaine.
It's the romaine or the mixed greens that are saying 6, 7 time, 12-time wash. And it's like, you got to wash. you gotta wash the vegetables.
John Oliver just covered this on Last Week Tonight on Sunday.
Oh, what do you say? Did he agree with us?
Yeah. No,
So like I tell people, you got to wash the rice, and I actually let go of a recipe tester because she was arguing with me during the cooking process. That was like, well, the bag doesn't say to rinse the rice. I was like, well, it doesn't matter.
It's a recipe recipe
it's
test.
Yeah. What are you saying? I'm like, you're not the right person for this job.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Let me ask you, if you don't want to answer this, don't answer this. But I'm curious because, like, with the cocktail stuff, I just make it a billion times, and a lot of the ones I've had, like, the recipes from bars, right? So, like, it's good to get people to make them who aren't bartenders,
Correct.
but whatever. How expensive is it? Because I'm sure there's somebody listening who's going to have this question. How expensive is it to get, like, recipe tested?
Oh, it's crazy. Like, I don't think people really realize how much is a cookbook or a beverage book, how many people are involved. So, like, Danica's the co-writer, so it's me and her. There was 2 recipe writers for this book, because I really wanted them to be where people can feel comfortable making it at home. Then there was 2 recipe testers because there's the debate about the water and the rice and the texture. So there was 1 recipe tester. Then went to another recipe tester. Then there's a copy editor, right? And then there's a bunch of other people. There's a designer of the book. There's a bunch of other people in between. There's a lot of people. If you want to put out like a really premier book or something very thoughtful. So, and you got to run it like you run a business. I say it all the time. Like if you have a cookbook deal, it's like being a musical artist. Like they upfronted you the money.
Yeah.
Now you got to figure out how to make the money.
Right, but yeah, they don't pay for anything. They just upfront the money and then
you got to do the budget, and stuff costs more than what somebody told you it was going to cost, and all that stuff.
Nightmare. Yeah, but I was like, this is so much money. If someone was on the show, I forget who it was, who did cookbooks, and so her fan base basically tests for her. I'm like, that's genius.
Well, a lot of people do that. They'll tell their friends test or fan base test.
Was that Katie Parla?
No, I don't think she was totally self-funded. We got to have her back on because I want to see whether she ended up making more money. She self-funded her whole book.
How did you do?
I mean, she has a really big fan base, and like her book's really pretty. Like she's a machine, man. So she came in. I forget the name. It was cooking of the Italian islands, all the Italian islands, and it looked gorgeous, right? Gorgeous. So she hired this, like, because she paid for everything, right? So she hired a photographer. I forget their name, and I was like, the book looks like it took months to shoot. Like yours looks like it took months and months to shoot, right? Because it's all different places and different stuff, different food. You have like illustrations, like so it looks like it took. But like, I was like, how long is this shoot? She's like, week and a half. I was like, what? Like all over Italy, like a travel book. She did in like a week and a half. Remember that, John?
That blue book?
Yeah.
Is it that blue book?
I don't know. It was really pretty, and the picture was really pretty.
And it was self-funded.
Completely self-funded, like completely self-funded, self-published. It was a little pain for like what's it called, things like this, because it's harder to get copies because you don't have like a publisher who's just sending crap out. But I really want to have her back.
I do think a model though, for me, not to go off topic here, but on the book side or even the TV side or podcast side, is like really getting investors against what you can do, right? Like if you're going to get an investor, you say, I'm going to write my book, and then you're doing the deal with the cookbook with Macmillan or Flatiron Random House, like, oh, the book's done already. Do you guys want to publish it? And here's the book. How much you want to pay me for the book?
Right.
I think I think we're going to see a lot of that. So you'll see some self-funded stuff that then are getting picked up by big book houses.
Yeah, I mean, she did everything, including the printing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm super curious. Also, we're gonna run out. I have a bunch of questions to ask you. So you actually like sporks? It actually makes sense for rice stuff, but I don't like eating like things that I actually want to stab with a spork.
Yeah, I like a spork. It's the debate about it, like what's the best way to eat rice, with a fork or a spoon. So a spork works.
Yeah. Also, speaking of debates, you did not wish to get into a fight about jollof rice, which I appreciate. So instead, you went like like a different one than we were doing.
Still didn't save me.
Yeah, really?
No,
You're still getting hollered at?
The Liberians are coming for me.
Really? I have to say that recipe looks delicious. It's got so much. It's got a lot. It's like a very, very flavor packed. I mean, I didn't make it, but I mean, looking at the recipe, like very flavor packed recipe. So
they said I left out the mixed vegetables. I said it's my style on jollof.
All right, so yeah, so I like that you specifically are like, I don't want to get into an art, and in fact, you say, listen, like you've traveled all over the world, you've tasted this stuff all different places, you have your own rice culture from growing up, and you're like, I want to present like kind of this like world, as you said earlier, I think, or maybe it was before we were on air, like kind of like the world of what's kind of possible with rice. And so people are going to get bent. People are going to get bent if you don't do their particular thing.
Oh no, people have words. Like I've been on cookbook tour for a while, and recently this past weekend, the lady was like, "Oh, you make the Jean Jean."
I was going to ask you about that. Oh, why?
I was like, "What do you mean?" Because you're supposed to put the aluminum foil on the top of the pan at the end, the last 10 minutes. I was like, "But hold on, does anything happen with the cooking method? Like, does it look right? Does it? Oh, it tastes good." But I just want to let people really come at you. And it's cool. I think that's what is great about rice. It has a lot of personalities, a lot of people, a lot of comments.
Yeah, when people grow up with stuff, they get real bent. Speaking of that recipe, so you're referring to a Haitian recipe, and now I have super hardcore FOMO for this freaking John John mushroom.
It's hard to get.
Spelled with a D, folks, DJ. Yeah. But like, so.
You know anybody Haitian?
I mean, yeah, but like not from a food world. Not like
they don't need to be from the food world. That's the people that know how to get it.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
No, it's really hard to get. That's why we did it with the bouillon cube, and it even was that during the recipe shooting, it almost didn't make the book because the bouillon cube took forever to come.
Really?
And we were trying to figure out how to like make the rice this color. What could we do? Do we go get black trumpet mushrooms?
What's it taste like, the John John? And you don't eat the mushroom, right? It's just in the broth and then pulled.
Right.
Is the texture bad, or is it like taste weird, or is it like slimy? Like why?
It's slimy.
Slime. All right.
Yeah. It tastes great. It's like very like if you love mushrooms, like mushroomy lima bean, punch flavor rice that goes with a lot of great things. And that's like one of those dishes where I talk about like learning about somebody's new culture, because then you'll make the Jean Jean and then you'll be like, okay, so why is it so significant to the Haitian culture? And then you go back and start doing your research and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I have super FOMO on that. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get it. How close was the cube in flavor to the real?
It's okay. I would say 5 out, like a 6.
6? All right. So, okay.
But you know Haitian people, so or somebody listening.
Yeah. I'm going to go hit up Merlet. Figure out where this stuff is. Anyway, all right, so some more stuff like this. First of all, I didn't know Pierre had a source he could ship. Pierre Cham. I didn't know he had a source for the Glaberima rice. You went on a quest to get the Glaberima rice. I have serious FOMO. I want some Glaberima rice.
Yeah.
Is it everyone wants the Glaberima rice, man. Everyone wants it.
I haven't got it since then. Pierre says he can get it, but he lives in San Francisco now, so like
yeah.
But no,
everybody wants it.
Everybody wants it.
How good is it?
It's good. It's like very starchy, nutty rice. You could feel when you touch it, you're like, oh, this feels pure.
I want the Glaberima.
And it was like we didn't wash it for 5 it took a long time for that water to run clear.
He took us to Senegal. We didn't have the Glaberima rice.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Anyway. All right. I'm going to go more FOMO stuff. I can't even pronounce it. The sorghum leaves. Pronounce that for me. That dish with the sorghum leaves with the
Oh, the wake.
Wake. Oh my God.
That's
so sorghum leaves.
Yes.
I never cook with these. It's another like steep in, get color and flavor, and pull.
Yeah, pull out. Yeah.
That recipe is actually also interesting because when you use, like I think I mentioned earlier, like you use canned, use dried. One of the recipes. The tomato goes in at the beginning with the beans when they're dry, but there's baking soda to counteract the acidity of the tomato. If you leave out the baking soda, that recipe's probably going to be a pain in the behind for you. Yeah. But then on this one, so like that's the kind of standard like 1/8 teaspoon. Like I had some old beans in my house I've been cooking. Like they're old and they were stored high in my kitchen, so they're hard. They're never cooked. You know what I'm talking about? So I use them mainly for refrieds, even though they're not that kind of bean. But still, I have to add extra baking soda. I do not like the smell of heavy baking soda cooking beans until I neutralize them later. Anyway, I digress. But on this recipe with the sorghum, it's more baking soda than with the other recipes with the dry beans. And I'm wondering whether that's because the sorghum needs more or not. It's like
you can pull out more of the color of the sorghum.
Yeah?
Yeah, just this like active, like reactive moment that helps the sorghum color come out. And with the beans, it's kind of like when you make Caribbean rice and peas. Like you need the bean juice, that pinkness to make the rice pink. That's what this does in the wake. And the wake is like hill rice in Ghana.
I need to try this
You
recipe.
need to try it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's another FOMO. And then some more FOMO. Golden Mountain sauce. What's Golden Mountain sauce? I've never had Golden Mountain sauce. What is this? John, have you ever had Golden Mountain
No,
sauce?
never even heard of it.
You got to get the book to know about the Golden Mountain sauce.
Oh man, and another one from Costa Rica in the Galopinto, Lozano sauce. What's that all
Oh,
about?
lasagna? You never had lasagna?
No, I never had Lozano. You, John?
No.
Come on, hook me up. What is it about?
Lozano's- It's like a tomato spicy-ish kind of sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Good?
it's really good. You might use it as a condiment.
All right.
It's not hard to find. You could get it. You just can't get it. Like, you got to think about the grocery stores you don't shop in anymore, like the Sea Towns.
Yeah.
They'll have those sauces. They'll have those things on the shelf.
Yeah, my Seatown.
Like,
yeah.
Whole Foods ain't having that. Lozano.
Are they they're gonna cut us off soon. Okay, you don't love okra, which is funny, but you do cook it because you have to.
Yes.
All right, but you don't like the sliminess.
I don't
yeah?
like the sliminess of it.
But your gumbo is okra, not filet.
Yes, because when you put okra in gumbo, it comes from Mississippi.
All right, and they don't use filet in Mississippi.
No.
And your grandpa was from the border.
From the border, yeah.
All right. Before they're going to cut me off, and I have more to ask you. Salt, you don't like adding salt to the rice
No.
if it's plain, but obviously if it's one with a stock or something, it's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
in it. But you really think it takes that much longer, or do you really think the texture's that different?
The salt in the water slows the cooking process down.
But do you think it also changes the texture?
You kind of.
Yeah. When you're making your the chawa roti, it's like a rice dough, but it's with long grain rice. Is that dough? It makes it seem like the dough is going to be hard to come together. Does it come together easy or no?
It comes together. You got to press it.
Because it's fully cooked and then
Right.
kneaded hot.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's an easy to do recipe?
It's easy to do.
All right, I'm going to do that.
Do it with the kids.
You didn't do yeah, all right.
I didn't do a lot of rice dishes. You probably want to ask me why I didn't do
No,
rice.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that too. Your tibijen, no gedge. You don't have any, like, no sort of fermented gedgy stuff in it. You didn't...
I didn't want to add anything fermented to it. I wanted people to feel comfortable making it.
Yeah.
And then they can then branch off and learn about more of it.
Because I love all that fermenty stuff
Yeah.
from there. That stuff is great. All right, just curious. I had to ask you about that. Talk to me about, I don't know how to pronounce this in Afrikaans, yield rice with the sugar in it while it's
Oh,
cooking.
that's South African rice.
Was it good?
It's great.
You got that from you know what I like in your book? You're like, I learned this from like the family meal at a restaurant where I was cooking.
Yeah, rice at every family meal in a restaurant is delicious. You know that.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had time to talk to you about freaking champorado and biko. Oh, I'll say this: not so much a question as a statement. Cheese rice grits? Yes. Yes. I saw that recipe. Was that the chili oil you had on the side
Yes,
of it?
I did. Chili on the side.
You know what that looks?
What do you look?
It looks delicious. I was like, that is a smart move. I want to make cheese rice grits. Anyway, I hope you had an okay time. I had a lot more questions to ask you I didn't get to because I'm slow and I go around. But anyway, JJ Johnson, the book is Simple Art of Rice. If you're a Patreon supporter, please buy it from Kitchen Arts and Letters and get the Patreon discount. We love those folks. And we'll be back next week with more cooking issues.